the classes that we will be having. And I'm particularly excited that this morning again, we are able to gather together to have this class. Without further ado, we'll go straight and then look at a few things that we have done before now. I'll give a quick recap on them and then look at new items for discussion this morning. We have previously looked at the very necessity for a class like this, for this particular course, which we have said before now, that this great university under the leadership of the Vice Chancellor and his team felt strongly that we need to actually have a course like this to re-engineer our generation, this particular student that we have now, to exactly what it was like while Nigeria was in its nascent stage, while Nigeria was growing up, and what exactly it was like even before we have Nigeria as a country, when we have different city-states, when we have different tribes in their enclaves, and then having their own constitutions and ways and manner with which they govern one another, and only having to trade with other people as the case were. And then we want to look at how exactly it was like in those days, in terms of their culture, in terms of relationship, their values, their ethics, and so on and so forth. And then again, we also went further by looking at the colonial period. What exactly are the factors that facilitated colonialism in Nigeria, and what was it like to actually stay under the colonial master, and what eventually culminated? What are those reasons and factors that eventually culminated into the amalgamation of Nigeria, wherewith the Southern Protectorate and the Northern Protectorate were brought together for administrative convenience of the colonial master. And then the eventual independence of Nigeria, we've also mentioned some of these issues as it were. And so today, we'll be looking at the language in Nigeria. We'll be looking at language. It should interest you to recall that before then, particularly last week, we looked at the history and evolution of Nigeria over a period of time. And then this morning, we'll just go straight as a continuation of that class to this new topic that we have now, language in Nigeria, language in Nigeria. Now, before we go straight and dive deep into our conversation, let me again reiterate the importance of you remembering that after each of the classes that we'll be having now, you will have to write tests, and that by 8:45 thereabouts, I will have to end this class so that at least you have 15 minutes to access the page for your test and then be part of that quiz. It's very important that you remember this. Do not just go after 8:45. There is still a particular site you have to go to. Thankfully, the engineer at ICT have made provision for all of these as well. So you just go to that particular site and then you do your test. It is very important. If you do not do that, you are simply hurting your scores, because all of these will be totaled together and aggregated as part of your continuous assessment. Now, the number of languages currently estimated and cataloged in Nigeria is about 521. Now, this number includes 510 that are living languages, then second languages without native speaker, and then we also have 9 that are extinct already. Now, the official language of Nigeria is English. We all do know that. The means of communication to you now is English language. And then it is this particular English language that facilitates the cultural and linguistic unity of the country's post-colonization by the British. That does not mean that we do not speak other languages that are native to us, but for administrative convenience, for purposes of unity and communication, we employ this lingua franca, which everyone is expected to be able to actually, use for communication. And then we also have an admission of it that is called Pidgin English. So if you can't even speak English very fluently, you should be able to speak Pidgin English to a certain extent. How much then they said this thing? Say make I come, say make I take, you should be able to do all of this. And that is basically what you see when you go to the market. Even the woman selling pepper in the market is able to do that very effectively. How much be this thing? This thing now 1 naira, This thing at 20 kobo, no, they're able to effectively communicate with you. Now, the major native languages spoken in Nigeria represent the three major families of African languages. The majority is Niger-Congo languages, such as Yoruba, Igbo, and then Hausa languages, which is Alto-Asiatic and Kanuri. And Kanuri is spoken in the Northeast, primarily in Borno State, as a member of the Nilo-Saharan family. Now, even though most ethnic groups prefer to communicate in their own languages, English, being the official language, is widely used for education, business transactions, and for official purposes. I did mention that earlier, that for ease of relationship, for ease of communication, for ease of relating with one another, so we use English language instead of our native languages, unless you're within the enclaves of your native speakers. It is then that you can then freely use your native language. But if you have to do in an official environment, it has to be English language. So it is that English language that is the lingua franca. It is the official language used in business, in governance, in economy, and in other sphere of our national life. So English as a first language, however, remains an exclusive preserve of a small minority of the country's urban elites, and is not spoken at all in some rural areas, although there could be a variation of English called Pidgin English or broken English, which I did mention earlier. So much that when you now go to a go market and you want to go and buy something, Mama, how much be this thing? Mama will retort and say, my daughter, this thing is 750 naira, but if we give you for 760 naira, they communicate with you with the Pidgin English. Having said that, let us now go to religious system in Nigeria. Nigeria is also a country of religious diversity. In fact, religious difference is one of the central dimensions of Nigeria's cultural diversity and a key aspect of our identity. Because if you look at us, excuse me, if you look at us, the way we dress also speaks about our religious identity. When you see a Muslim, you are likely to know this person is a Muslim. Almost all the time, because if not the clothes, you are likely to see a mark, a black dark space on the forehead, or the bird, keeping a bird or hijab. There are certain things, but of course, not all Muslims follow those particular specificity. But a number of them, you'll be able to know by the way they dressed and the way they look that this is a Muslim. And then when you see a Christian as well, too, you are likely to know that this is okay. This is an SU person that is often used derogatorily. So when you see people dressed in certain way, there is a possibility of you being able to, pontificate and say this particular person is from this particular place, is likely to be from this particular religion and all of that. So this religious difference is one of the central dimensions of Nigeria's cultural diversity and a key aspect of our identity. Now, the main religious division within the country is that between Christianity and Islam. These are just the major ones that we have. But of course, we have seen a number of the adherents of these two religions having recourse to our traditional religion as well. Now, while they are very quick to call themselves Christians and Muslims, they still have link with our African traditional religion, particularly Yoruba traditional religion. And so they are also interwoven together. But the major one, the one we call the Abrahamic faith, Christianity and Islam, that came from Father Abraham, the historical figure in the Bible, particularly the Old Testament. Now, these two broad groups compose nearly 90% of the entire population. There are several other religions in Nigeria, whether it's Buddhism, whether it's Taoism, Sikhism, and several other sects like that we have in Nigeria. But the two major ones are what we often refer to as the Abrahamic faith, Christianity and Islam. Now, it is very trite that we should also mention that the Constitution of Nigeria guarantees religious freedom. So you have religious freedom. You can choose to be a Christian this month and choose to be a Muslim the following month. Now, nobody will persecute you for that. So you have religious freedom. But of course, you must understand, however, that your religious freedom doesn't actually infringe on the freedom of another person. Now, it is going to be preposterous for you to go to a mosque now and you are shouting hallelujah. That is unwarranted. That is simply an unwarranted provocation. And so neither can you as a Muslim go to a crusade ground and be there, you're shouting Allahu Akbar. It's unwarranted. So you must realize that within your constitutionally guaranteed freedom, you also have to take into cognizance that you have people who are members of another religious faith and persuasion, and that you need to respect their space as well. So religion is an important aspect of, or has an important aspect of place in Nigeria for several reasons. First, religion shapes people's systems of values and beliefs. It is religion that actually shapes the way people think, what they believe to be true, what they believe to be right, what they believe to be noble, what they believe to be important, what they believe to be good, what they believe to be very cerebral. It is religion that, dictates to a very large extent some of these things that are just listed now. Now, they are so interwoven together with culture that you hardly could separate the two. But religion also have a very enviable place in deciding what is normal and what is abnormal, what is of value, what is valueless. Religion has a way of defining all of these things. And it's also, help in the area of belief, what we believe to be true and what we believe to be right. Is it right for you to slap another person? Is it right for you to hate another person? Is it right for you to kill another person? Now, religion helps us to actually underscore the importance of the rightness of a particular decision or action. Now, this is important in defining cultural and social behaviors and norms in a particular place. For example, things like gender roles, what are the specific roles of a man, what are the specific role of a woman or a girl child or a male child, banking practices and attitudes toward education are all influenced by religion. Now, there are important differences between Islamic places and Christian places, although it is critical not to overestimate the influence of religion in people's lives. Not all Nigerians are deeply religious. I did say that earlier as well. Even though they claim to be Christians and Muslims and all of that, they still go back to their native way when they meet a roadblock and they needed an answer in a particular thing. So nor do all of them closely follow their religion's guidelines for behavior. However, Nigerians are generally deeply religious people. We are very, very, very religious. And that is oftentimes when we are sick, instead of saying that I'm sick, we say I'm strong. I'm strong. Now, I've been treating malaria, cold, catarrh, cough for about 2 days now. And each time I have cough and people notices that, okay, I'm not feeling well, what is wrong? I say I'm strong. Instead of simply saying I'm sick. But that is exactly who we are. That is who we are. And so we are deeply religious, so much that we will underscore the importance of positive confession to ourselves and all of that. And these are some of the things that inform our actions and inactions. Now, this leads to the second reason, which is that religion influences the material landscape and people's sense of place more generally. Now, Christians predominantly live in the southern part of the country, whereas Muslims live predominantly in the northern part of Nigeria. Now, native religion in which people believe in deities and spirits and ancestral worship are spread throughout the country. They usually are specific to the different ethnic groups, and the deities are usually the gods and goddesses that the ethnic groups believes in. And each ethnic group had a shrine dedicated to the deities that it believed in. So whether you want to look at Shango, you want to look at Oya, you want to look at Obatala, you want to look at all manner of deities, religious figures like that. So we have them scattered all over the Yoruba land. And when you go to Igbo land, you will see the same thing. You go to no Hausa land, you are likely to see the same thing as well too. And so you realize basically, therefore, that all of us, all the tribal affiliations that we have, both the major ones and the minor ones, have specific deities that they pay obeisance to. Now, the deities range from those who created the earth to those who offer divine protection and all blessings to its worshippers, to those who had control over certain aspects of the world, like weather or war or agriculture, so on and so forth, or to spirits that can be somewhat controlled by human beings. So these are the religious dimension of the Nigerian people. Okay, let's go to family structure in Nigeria. Family structure. Family structure. Now, family is extremely important to most Nigerians. Who are we without our families? Family is extremely important to most Nigerians. The nuclear family in a Nigerian home consists of the father, his wife, or wives in a polygamous setting, and their children. The extended family consists of all the relatives. Extended families are still the norm and are, in fact, the backbone of the social system, where you have grandparents, cousins, aunts, uncles, sisters, brothers, and in-laws all work as a unit through life. Now, and it's very important. And it's also very important that we mention the fact that you must realize, as a member of a community, as a member of the Nigerian space, that you do not have to live your life alone. You have to actually, flourish within the context of familyhood. And so anytime you are called upon for a family function, you must oblige. So this idea of you, particularly this generation, not wanting to mix with your cousins, with your sisters and uncles and brothers, and it's not too good. You must mix up together. That is what makes us a family. And we're not just talking about your nucleus family alone with your father and your mother and your siblings. We're talking about the extended family. It is very important that you bond together. Excuse me, that you bond together. It is very important that you do that, to be able to know this person is my cousin, this particular person is this particular person is the child of this particular aunt, this particular guy is a son of this particular uncle. You must meet one another. It is very important. In fact, technology has even made it very simple for us today, because you can actually have a WhatsApp group for all your family members, where everybody will be there on that particular platform. You get to know one another, you get to pray for one another, you get to send messages and share, feelings together on such a particular platform. So it is not always when it is time for a social event that you all come together to come and see one another. You could create a WhatsApp platform for your family to be able to relate much better, much more fluently, and much more regularly. And all of these are very, very important for proper integration within the familyhood. Now, family relationships are guided by hierarchy and seniority. And like I did said last week, most of you, because you do not want to call somebody who is much obviously more older than you are, auntie or brother, you don't want to mix with the family. It's not just 1 year that is different between the two of us. Okay, that 1 year, can you buy it? So you must understand that this the way things are done in African society. There is hierarchy to things. There is seniority to things. And you must recognize this. If you don't give it to somebody, who will give it to you too? Because what you give is what you take. So you must understand all. So if your reason for avoiding family function is because you don't want to call one particular person Egbon, abi brother or aunt, and that is your reason, then people behind you too will not give you the same thing. They will not. So family relationships are guided by hierarchy and seniority. Social standing also is another thing that is used in that hierarchical rules. And then recognition is achieved through extended family. Similarly, the family's honor is influenced by the action of his member. You must understand that as a member of that particular extended family, you cannot afford to misbehave and drag the name of that family in mud. You must understand that you are not the only user of that surname. And so you need to be careful. You need to protect the honor and dignity of that name. A whole lot of people bared it before you were battered, and they did not make a mess of the name. So it shouldn't be you now that they will now be associated with something very horrible and bad that you have done, thereby spoiling the name of the family. So you must understand the importance of protection of that name that has been foisted upon you as a member of that extended family. Even if it's a nuclear family too, protect your family name. It's very important that you do that. Now, individuals turn to members of the extended family for financial aid and guidance, and the family is expected to provide for the welfare of every member. In most families, anyways, there is a strong family bond, and this phrase, blood is thicker than water, has a very deep meaning. Although this role of the extended family is diminishing somewhat in urban areas because of Western influences, because of lack of adequate time to bond together, to relate together, to fellowship together, and this seeming fear that has been created by religions that your family members are your enemies, oh, they want to kill you, they want to destroy your happiness and all of that. So everybody is scared. There's an atmosphere of fear that has been created. That don't visit your parents, oh, I don't go to your family house, oh, I don't go to this one, oh. All manner of things have been said to engender the level of individuality that we now have in our respected family. But that is not tradition, and that is not the way it used to be. It wasn't like that in the beginning. We bond together. In a typical Yoruba society, and I should say African society, you can eat your breakfast in your parents' place, take your lunch in your uncle's place, and maybe take your dinner in your auntie's place, and then go back home to sleep or even sleep there. That is what exactly Africans are known for. Koinonia. That is the concept of koinonia, when you bond together, when you relate together, when you associate together without fear, without trepidation, without second guessing. So blood is thicker than water. It has a very deep meaning. Although this role of the extended family, like I did said earlier, is diminishing somewhat in urban areas, there remains a strong tradition of mutual caring and responsibility among members of a particular family. Many cultures, for a variety of reasons, a child is named on the 8th day of his or her birth. A whole naming ceremony usually accompanies this. But this is just basically among the Yoruba people. Among the Igbo people, they do not do the naming ceremony on the 8th day. They'll have to wait some months before they do that. And then there are certain practices that are also very unique to each tribe and groupings that we have in Nigeria. Now, if you go to visit a family, an Igbo family that just put to bed, you are likely to see them rubbing powder, and then you will see granules evidently on the table for everyone that comes in. And then the powder thing is very, very important. So they will rub the powder, and you expect irrespective of your own tribe, as soon as you come into the building, into the residence of an Igbo person who just put to bed, you will see the powder on the table, and you are expected to also rub the powder, because that is how they do their things and all of that. So it is very important that we note all of this. So it's not every tribe that we have in Nigeria that actually go for this 8th-day naming ceremony or indulges in a party for naming ceremony. It differs considerably from one particular society or community to another one. Okay, let's again go to gender roles and relations in Nigeria. Gender roles and relations in Nigeria. All right. Now, just as gender roles and relations vary among countries, they also vary within countries. Now, I was reading an information online. I've mentioned this. I've always known this. I've called the attention of my student to it over 15, 20 years now, that there is a particular tribe in Benue State, a particular group in Benue State, that when you visit them as a guest, that the husband of that home is under obligation to give his wife to you to stay the night with for sexual relationship. And then, so I saw a lady yesterday online who was complaining that she needed to run away from a marriage, basically because the husband was importuning her to go in with a friend who came from afar to visit the family for the night and all of that. So we have rules, gender rules, and some of these gender rules, we might tag them as not too convenient for our contemporary worldview, not too comfortable for our society anymore. But the fact remains that as we have it in Nigeria, so also we have it in several other places too. There is no particular country that is totally free of such thing. And that is why culture is very dynamic. It keeps changing over a period of time. It keeps moving, keeps evolving. And this particular one I just mentioned is just one of those things that we'll have to continue to work on until finally we were able to put it aside. Just as we did with female genital mutilation. At a point in time in Nigeria, it was rife, it was everywhere. But as education continues, as we were, enlightening one another and seeing the danger thereof in female genital mutilation, it has become or almost become a thing of the past now. So let's now speak on gender roles and relations in Nigeria. Now, just as gender roles and relations vary among countries, they also vary within countries. Nigeria is an excellent example of a country with tremendous regional variations in gender relations. In general, labor is divided in Nigerian society among gender lines. There are specific roles meant for the boys in the family, and there are some other roles meant for the girl child in the family. The girl child tends to sweep, maybe wash plates, whereas the male child fetch water and then do some other chores and all of that. Though this is getting blurry day by day because most boy child now, male child now are doing almost the same thing that the girl child is doing. So that when they have to go to school, like the university now, they can manage on their own. They do not have to give their food stuff to the roommates or housemates to be cooking for them. They'll be able to manage on their own. So that is why it is getting blurry. But in our traditional society and setting, there are specific roles for each gender. Now, very few women are active in the political and professional arena. In urban areas, a increasing number of men is becoming involved in the professional workforce, but they are greatly outnumbered by their male counterparts. In the Senate today, I think we only have about 4 women in the Senate out of about 109 senators, I think. And that is not representative at all. It's not representative. It's bad, very bad for our politics. But we're hoping that in years to come, this particular matter will be addressed accordingly, and more women will be given opportunity for elective positions. Now, women who do manage to gain professional employment rarely make it to the higher level of management. Even though in the recent past, we have seen a whole lot of women getting into the MD of major banks. As at the last count, I think we have close to 4 or 5 women who are the managing director of different banks in Nigeria today. So it is changing gradually. However, women in Nigeria still play significant roles in the economy, especially in rural areas. Women are often expected to earn significant portions of the family income. They go to farm, attend to house chores, take care of the children, and several other things like that. So they play a major and very pivotal role in the society. Um, they support their husbands too financially. So it's not just about the husband bringing money alone. The women too are actually now bringing money to actually support the family. This is even seen when you go to urban areas like maybe Lagos, Ogun, all the major cities in Nigeria. Now, these financial roles are shared between couples nowadays. The husband will say, okay, I'll pay for tuition fee. You, the wife, you have to manage what you are going to eat for this particular month and all of that. Roles are becoming blurry. In fact, there are families that it is the wife that is the breadwinner of that family. And so you now realize that roles are becoming blurry. But in the traditional setting, in a normal setting, the man is supposed to protect and provide for his family. But that is becoming blurry because of the economic challenges that we have found ourselves in Nigeria. Okay. Now, in addition, modern Nigeria is a patriarchal society where the man rules. Men are dominant over women in virtually all areas. While Nigeria is a signatory to the International Convention on Equality for Women, it means little to the average Nigerian woman. Women still have fewer legal rights than men. Finally, in contemporary Nigeria, one of the most important influences on gender relations and role is that of religion. Here, it is important to re-emphasize the fact that Nigeria is a tremendously religious society. Now, one dimension of this religiosity is the fact that most Nigerians make less distinction between the spiritual and the secular than many other countries of the world, including Western Europe and the United States. Thus, it is not surprising that religion plays such an important role in shaping the roles and relations between men and women. If you look at the Bible, for instance, it clearly defines the roles of the woman, defines the role that, okay, even in the church, Apostle Paul did said that, okay, the women should keep quiet, and that if they have a question to ask about what is happening in the church, they should go home and ask their husband. But of course, we have seen that that is also changing too. We have seen women who are founders of churches. We have seen women who are general overseers. We are even seeing women who are bishops now. All of that is changing gradually. And so do not be unnecessarily hard on our culture and our practices, because there is no way you go to all over the world that you not see some of these things there. Human beings are evolving. So also is the cultural pattern. Their cultural pattern is evolving. Certain items that we have in our religious books that are not too comfortable, they are also evolving as well. So let's not be unnecessarily harsh on ourselves. So within Nigeria, Islam is a religion that undoubtedly has the most significant impact on the lives of women in particular. Most women of childbearing age have minimal presence in the public sphere outside of their homes. In cities like Katsina or Kano, only men, children, including young girls, and older women are seen throughout the city. Because of women's public invisibility, the landscape of cities are male-dominated. They are male-dominated. Christianity has also had a major impact on gender roles. This influence is more difficult to summarize. However, since there are so many branches of Christianity in the country, that you want to consider the Orthodox that are Anglican, excuse me, Catholic, Pentecostals, and Christ Apostolic Church, the Cherubim and Seraphim Church, and every other ones that we have. And other factors like Western education have been strong influences in the dominantly Christian regions of the country. And so because of that, we are seeing a whole lot of things evolving. Like I did said earlier too, we are now seeing female bishops. We have seen female now getting involved in Holy Communion, and some other things that are characteristically given to the male to do in the church. So they are changing. Eventually, things are changing. Things that happened 20 years ago within the sphere of religion, particularly Christianity, they are fast changing nowadays. And so we should not be unnecessarily harsh on our religious lives or certain cultural pattern and behavior, because they will also change for better as we continue. So that is the much that I want to talk about today. Next week, I want to go to another topic entirely, ethics and discipline in national life. I do not want to go there now. I just want you to have enough time to digest all that we have said, and then go and attend to your e-tests. And then next week, we'll be able to start this new topic, ethics and discipline in national life. Ethics and discipline in national life. So today we've spoken about gender roles and relations in Nigeria. We've also mentioned family structures, in Nigeria, religious system in Nigeria. Then we've talked about language as well in Nigeria. So these are the few things that we've been able to cover in the course of our engagement this morning. And then I want to give you enough time to run through all of the things that you have said so that you can refresh yourself for the test you want to go and do. Until we meet again next week, by the grace of God, I want to thank all of you who are here and who are part of this class of this morning. Do have a very pleasant day and week ahead. Thank you.